Where are we now, T-Rex? You ready? Let's go. Come on. Come on. Don't make us come after you, T-Rex. You ready, Steve? Let's do this. Steve, help Rex down the stairs. Let's go. Come on. Yes. Just walk carefully. We have to do that as we get older. We can do it. That wasn't so hard, was it? Good boy, T-Rex. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. He's up. He's off. And he's out. And he's off. And TK's 64 degrees, 9/12, October 1st. Rabbit. Any rabbits out there for you to chase, Steve? Yeah, been up for about 5 hours studying the world and the weather, and a lot of it is quite depressing, unfortunately. Weather is part of the depressing. I'm still watching the just horrible images that are coming out of North Carolina and Tennessee. Such sad news. Here in the Northeast, we'll be New England centric today as much as we can be. So I didn't water this lawn at all. It's coming back. There are obviously some spots that are going to need reseeding after that hot, dry start to September. Actually, it was cool, then it was hot. And we got mushrooms. Is this edible? Is there a mushroomologist in the house? That looks pretty nice. So we had a good amount of water in parts of New England in September. In October, it's starting off mostly dry. But there's a traffic jam in the atmosphere, and we don't know which way to look for storms coming at us. Do we look to the west, or the north, or the south, or the east? We look in all directions, because that's where weather comes from in New England, all directions. Right now, you can see, hey, there's one house in the sunshine way over there. Sun's out in one spot on Howe's Neck. And Leif and Pea's boat is pointed into the brisk wind coming from the east, which we often say west is best and east is least appealing. So there's a strong, more sunshine. Focus in on the sunshine on the sailboat. There is limited sunshine, and there's a new high pressure system that looks like an old high pressure system in eastern Canada. It's just because they keep on reloading in there. And that high is responsible for our wind right now. High pressure over eastern Canada, looks like about a 1028 high, and it's part of a huge block in the atmosphere. The negative North Atlantic oscillation is doing its thing, causing the storm tracks to go south of Cape Cod, and we have coast to coast, the coast of North America to the coast of Europe, a front connecting the two continents this morning, and that front is dotted with a bunch of 997 millibar low pressure systems, cyclones, and they're a parade of storms, including the now post-tropical storm Hurricane Isaac, which is really tiny in there compared to some of the other larger systems. And those storms are going to get stronger before they get weaker. We're going to have a lot of action in the Atlantic Ocean. Get to that in a moment. How is this wind impacting my audio? Let's go behind the euonymus, the burning bush, the invasive. Much less windy here. Why is this one not red yet? Maybe because I did such a heavy pruning on it in August. But the fall of color cannot be stopped. Yeah, why don't we shift gears for a second and look at the fall color at Stowe, Mount Mansfield. One of the doors I come out sometimes right here at Mount Mansfield. Not yet. I don't know if I'm going to go up for the foliage this year. We're only about 8 weeks from ski season, but the color is perfect right now at Mount Mansfield. There is a front coming in from the west, and that front has some rain with it this morning. Here's the radar from this morning, sort of telling the remnant low pressure from Helene is over Pennsylvania, where it's been raining now for 2 or 3 days, but without flooding. And then that front coming across Michigan. We've been talking about how that front and Helene could interact over New England in the next 24 hours. But we said that a week ago, and we're kept changing with the guidance changing, saying, well, I think the two could connect. Oh, maybe they're not going to connect. They're not going to connect. Let's go to the HRRR right now. There's the rainfall in New York. I'm just going to use the QPF here. And that kind of just falls completely apart. And then if you look right at Boston into Hartford, there's a little bit of rain coming in from the east. Pretty much just the ocean flow, almost a little northern edge of the remnant of Helene missing well to the south. So a few of us late today and tonight are getting maybe a tenth. The HRRR actually prints out 4/10 of an inch of rain near Hartford, Connecticut. I will take the under on that, but there could be some precipitation in parts of New England. The front and Helene pretty much staying separate, and it has a lot to do with the storm that's generating this front. We talked about it last week being a 962 low over Hudson Bay. It's not there yet, and it may not get to 962. The Euro often overdoes the bottom end of these low pressure systems, and it's a 980 this morning over Hudson Bay, and it's not moving. So that front is running out of gas. The front extends from Hudson Bay down to Texas, and it is generating some weather, but it's a very weakening front because the storm is so far north. And there's another even more powerful storm. What's that? In the 970-something millibar range south of Alaska. And it's just kind of a logjam, a roadblock in the atmosphere up there because things aren't moving very much due to that Greenland block. I'm kind of torn on what to show. Oh, why don't we show Steve in the breeze right now because he's so handsome. Hi, Steve. And the Montauk daisies. You're also very pretty. See if I can get down below the wind down here also. I think I want to show the ocean. Let's go to NHC, National Hurricane Center, issuing advisories now on Tropical Storm Kirk, forecast to become a major hurricane, kind of going the same place where Joyce just decayed. And behind it, there's going to be another storm forming that's likely going to be Leslie. And also, we're still watching the Caribbean. If anything is going to develop in the Gulf of Mexico, it looks slow, and most of the models have just kind of a weak storm that would likely be Milton in the Gulf of Mexico within a week or so. So I think I'm going to show the oceanic view here from Pivotal Weather. And not a lot going on in New England. The front that's coming through is decaying. You see the storms out in the Atlantic Ocean on the top half are moving from left to right, west to east, south of about a 1026 high pressure system, almost from Newfoundland all the way up there to Iceland. And so that is just creating this strong storm track to the south of that high with wind from the east. And you see those storms recurving out there, going below 970 millibars. And it looks like Kirk is going to go post-tropical and be a mammoth storm if we stop it at 2 a.m. Wednesday. That's been kind of where we're watching. You look in the upper left or the left there, there's New England with now a 993 low pressure system near Long Island. Not quite in the 980s, but that would do some damage in wind and rain. Not literal damage, but the kind where, you know, storm watchers will go to the ocean and watch the big waves. But that's kind of minor compared to what's going on in the other parts. I can't remember the central pressure at that point on Kirk. Looks like it's down in the 940 millibar range, so that is just a giant storm there. And if you look at those isobars from the northeast part of this map, upper right, all the way into New England on the left, it's a storm to hurricane force wind all the way from Scandinavia to New England. So that's going to really compound the ocean impact at our beaches next week. And also the storm to the south of it, to the southeast of Bermuda there, now it's not as strong as it was yesterday. That would be Hurricane Leslie. And in the Gulf of Mexico would be possibly Milton. And yesterday it looked like the energy from potential Milton would be joining our nor'easter here in New England. And that is not as much in the cards on last night's guidance, but is still as much in the cards in the big picture program here. These are just projections that go out 8 days, and we know how much error there can be in an 8-day. But when you see such a stormy pattern across the Atlantic Ocean and across the Pacific Ocean, you know something's going to happen. Speaking of the Pacific Ocean, there are major storms out there too. We talked about that low south of Alaska, and then there's also Typhoon Krathon, Julian. It's got two names. And that still has about 140 mile an hour wind. So if that's right, that's a category 4 typhoon. Fresh Air Fanatic asks, what's the difference between a typhoon and a hurricane? Just a name. They're both the same. They're both supercharged warm core cyclones, counterclockwise circulations, just a name, that's what they get called in the West Pacific. And our chasers are there. James Reynolds is there. Josh Morgerman is there. Josh, we followed him last week from Panacea, Florida to Perry. He says those houses he was in Panacea survived the storm. They're still there. They're still standing, including that restaurant he was near. And it was much more devastating on the coast to the east side, well to the east side of Helene, on those shores from Tampa and points north into Perry. And a place like Treasure Island off of Tampa, really, there's feet of sand inside the resorts and the buildings now where that storm surge came in, so devastating. And so it wasn't just Helene, you know, there was a front stalled there, and Tomor Berg has been doing a dissection of Helene on X and posting about the predecessor rainfall. Before Helene even got to North Carolina, there had already been 5 to 10 inches of rain on a weather front that was stalled there, the same one that was stalled in New England. We had a little bit of action from that last Thursday, and that same front was stalled all the way down the Appalachians. So even without a Helene, North Carolina was already facing serious flooding, and then you threw in Helene and it just compounded it. And that's just a fact of air coming from Canada meeting air that came from Africa, and when they meet, they can be ugly. And often October is the ugly month for big storms. We can think about that 1991 perfect storm, and we've had several late October storms. And so this is the month for when the North Pole is getting cold because it's getting dark, and we still have a lot of warmth and energy across our oceans, and the battle zone between the forthcoming winter and the summer that doesn't want to let go creates these just incredible autumnal storms. And thankful that we're not in one now, but a week from today we may be in one. It sounds like T-Rex. So I just had my eyes closed and I was just thinking and visualizing things. I'm not even sure what graphics I'm putting in there. And I hear T-Rex behind me kind of whining. All right, kids, what's going on up here? So tomorrow we get air not from the east. Briefly, when that front decays over us, we're going to have a little bit of a wind from the south and west, and so it doesn't look that bad. And that Saturday front now doesn't look too bad either. So our mostly dry pattern is going to continue in New England through the weekend with peak foliage. Don't cancel any plans. Let's see. The Topsfield Fair opens this weekend, brought to us by 1 Degree Outside. Congratulations, 1 Degree, getting a main sponsorship from the Topsfield Fair, so we'll support that. And lots of things going on. Scallop season opening on Nantucket. Tuna season reopening off of Cape Cod. A lot of boaters want to go boating, and it's going to be pretty rough on the ocean. More rough today than I thought it was going to be. Sorry about that, Kevin. So that's it for the weather, I guess. In more, yesterday, I'm pretty embarrassed that I didn't know the difference between a cricket. That's not a cricket. It's a grasshopper. I was saying, is this a praying mantis? No, it doesn't look anything like a praying mantis, Tim. You should know that. Praying mantis have the long neck and those big bold eyes and the legs that stick out. This is clearly a grasshopper. So we talked to this grasshopper for a few minutes. T-Rex was not too impressed with that. And then we drove home, and we had to pull off the highway because there was something so spectacular happening in the sky. It's called a sundog. And we got home, and we were treated with a pretty sunset here. So I'm going to leave you with that. The Enmore from yesterday, including the sundog, and a lot to talk about. I know I skipped about 5 things I wanted to say. So we'll do it again tomorrow. All right, here's the Enmore from the last day of September 2024, from Cape Cod to Weymouth. Just after 1 o'clock, just finished editing a bunch of stuff, including the Eldridge Farm Foundation party update. And I was walking T-Rex, who just decided to sit down in the sun just now. And I noticed something green in this red bush, which I think might be some kind of ornamental, different kind of hibiscus. And look what we found. I don't think it's a praying mantis. Is it a praying mantis or a grasshopper? Either way, I like it. Do you know that that bush isn't green? Yeah, it's a praying mantis. Mantis. Love the mantis. I know that they can eat hummingbirds. but you can also train them to be pets. What do you think, Rex? He's always looking for something. He doesn't even notice the praying mantis. There it is. No, you don't want any part of that, do you? Is it a mantis or grasshopper? This boat's seen better days. Classic backyard Cape Cod, old boat, moss on it, and a praying mantis. Okay, let that one go. I love the color of the hydrangea turn this time of year. And we still have green leaves and sunshine and gorgeous Monday. I will pull over for optical phenomena. You see it? Phenomenal sun dog. Think I'm in Marshfield. I think those cars are going out. They say sun dogs can get as bright as the sun. I've never seen it happen, but at least with my polarized glasses, this one is up there in scale. Norwell, Massachusetts, 5 o'clock, 69 degrees. And there's one over there too, one on both sides. Fading fast. Refraction of sunlight off ice crystals. 6-sided ice crystals. What? You know where we are? It's so funny. Coming down this road every time he starts flying. Because Mommy's here. We made it before sunset. What happened to that sun dog? Find another one. What, Rex? What is it? Yeah. You're eager to see Steve and Mitt, aren't you? Okay, all right. There's Steve. That's not who you want to see, though, is it? It's not Steve that you want to see, is it? It's Mitt. He's hiding. Bottom line, we made it home in time for sunset. Looking over toward Hull, Hingham Bay. Water waves, sky waves, beautiful cloud day. So interesting. Every layer of cloud possible, including the condensation trails, which are kind of technically anthropogenic, caused by planes. And they cast the shadow right there. That's so beautiful. The sun dog has faded, but those are super cooled water droplets and ice crystals up there, top of the jet stream. Right next to where Don Kent raised his family. On the same property, Roger Kent raised his family, a lineage of sailors and boaters and meteorologists and carpet people. So I think it's a fitting time to let it play out. With Captain Spacetime on the piano, people have asked. Yep, Captain Spacetime on YouTube. And glorious sunset here on the Fore River, which as the sun gets further and further south, we're not gonna be able to see in a couple of weeks. Savor it while it's here. That was close. Talk to you tomorrow.